This episode of Pop Cult Parent is brought to you by Young King Hair Care. Young King Hair Care is a multicultural grooming company for young men. Leveraging plant-based ingredients, Young King creates clean products to promote textured health and growth. Inspired by their son Cade, husband and wife team Cor and Stefan launched this company in December 2019 with the mission to redefine male grooming for the next generation of Black and brown men, giving them the confidence they need to be their best selves 24/7, 365. My two sons have been using Young King Hair Care products since they launched, and I highly recommend everything, especially their leave-in conditioner. Featured on Good Morning America, Shark Tank, Essence, CNBC, and more, Young King can currently be found in the shelves of over 15,000 Target, Walmart, and CVS stores, as well as Amazon. And just for members of Pop Cult, use the discount code PopCultParent to receive 15% off your order at YoungKingHairCare.com. That's PopCultParent, one word, to get 15% off your order. What up, internets? Welcome back to Pop Cult Parent, your favorite podcast. Excited to again talk about X-Men 97. We're doing another reaction, and this time it is for episode 4. I am one of your co-hosts, Niels RY. Mark MF Jones and Shannon are both out, but we are lucky and blessed to have back to Pop Cult Mr. Gavin. Gavin, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right. Good to be back.
All right. And glad to have you back. We appreciate you. We got a heavy load on this episode 4, which is on, it was a Jubilee episode. It was a Roberto Sunspot episode. And then it kind of just wrapped up with like some aspects of a love story and this, whatever this journey is that Storm is on. So I thought it would be great if we kind of like touched upon all those things and go from there. How's that sound?
Yeah, man. Sounds good.
All right. So let's start with Motendo, I believe was the name of the episode.
Yeah.
So here's my thing, Gab. We're going to talk about Jubilee. All right. We're going to talk about Jubilee. So Jubilee, if you remember the animated series, Jubilee wasn't really, she had that first episode when she was in the mall and Storm and Rogue like saved the day. And then she was an afterthought for like the rest of the series, if I want to be completely honest. And to Mark's point, when this new like series was going to come out, Mark was like, Jubilee deserves some time to shine. And he even insisted after watching the first episode that Jubilee is now showing up and showing out. And I was kind of like, I don't see it. But this is what I'm going to say. And I'm curious on your reaction.
Yeah.
And I'll give another flashback to Mark. Mark was like, Jubilee has one of the dopest moves. She essentially has the mutant version of the solar flare. Like, Krillin's solar, like she could do the solar flare. Here's my thing. Yes, Jubilee has the solar flare, but this time she shows she has the Destructo disc. The system was busted out. She had the Destructo disc.
That was dope.
Down the feelings. I'm like, you know what, Jubilee? You might be all right.
I've been waiting for her to level up, yo. Like I remember seeing that mall scene, and I was just kind of like, okay, are we ever gonna see her like evolve? Like I think we've seen every character before her kind of do something different over time, and she's never gotten that shine. But yeah, when she did that, like that Destructo disc and that, I got these like, fireworks skate things that she was, flying on. That was kind of her beta copy, but that joint was dope.
Yeah, that kind of confusing. Like that kind of like messed me up a little bit. I was like, are you a clone? Are you like a copy? Or like how did they replicate you, personality, memories, and all that, and play you into the system? And then you were older, but yeah, brother. I was confused.
Yeah. No, I was just going with it. I was like, look, Motendo clearly has had this Jubilee for a while, wherever he got her from. And just, she has been surviving and playing over and over again, which makes sense if she's like our age, I guess. Or maybe that was what they were trying to say. Like he created her way back when, since that was supposed to be a kind of model of the Sega game. And you remember that joint? And I was
I
loving
do.
that
I
part.
do.
Man, that when that intro
But you
hit
got to
and you
remember, this
saw
is still 97. So it's not
yeah,
like it's 2024. So
word.
that's a
But
little
maybe
confusing.
that's yeah, true, true, true,
But
true.
Gavin, here's my
Yeah.
thing. If he had those copies, why did he need Jubilee?
Well, he did say he likes torturing the X-Men. So he maybe he wanted the real, you know what I mean? And that one did get away before he could delete her. So he was always trying to, build for her. You know what I mean?
That
I
is
just
true.
I don't remember Motendo. I must have, blanked on that one.
Mojo is a character from the comic books. I don't think he was in the original. He might have been. I don't remember that episode if he was in it, but I do remember him from the comic books.
Yeah.
That's his whole thing, is like messing with the X-Men, messing with mutants and broadcasting it to the world, or excuse me, to the universe, to the multi whatever. He's showing it to a lot of
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
That like it's like imagine CNN or like I don't know, ESPN, but on a universal basis. And their prime, their sports center is how can we mess with the X-Men? It's like, how can we torture these mutants in this random planet millions of years away from us, light years away from us? Like, how can we mess with that little group right there? Because there's so much fun to be oppressed. Like, that is legit what Mojo's entire steez is. So
They seemed like they were rooting for her though. Like they were rooting for Jubilee the whole time.
yeah, they typically they don't. Well, from what I've read,
Yeah.
they're like they're down for like for it to be difficult, but they
Yeah.
want the X-Men dead. That is like they want
Hmm.
to see the mutants die. That is part of the
Got you.
entertainment. So it's kind of like tease me a little bit, but I'm here for you to perish. So
Got you. Got you. Because I was like, oh, they looked like they were celebrating when Mojo got his ass or his butt whooped in, the last
mhm.
part. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess they're just bloodthirsty. Who knows?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Mojo is in the comic books. That's one thing I can tell you. So I think the other thing to name is Roberto. Like we're not really
Yeah.
seeing him go full Sunspot, but we're getting a bit more in his personality. He's very into himself and
Hmm.
very not into the concept of mutants in general. And yeah, like I clearly there's a thing between him and Jubilee. I have some
Yeah.
ideas of what that means for the future of the show, but yeah, what were some of your takeaways with Roberto's character in this episode?
I feel like Roberto has replaced Jubilee in the way the show started. You know what I mean? Like he's
Mm,
just that kind of character that's like, oh, they got all this power, they're not really using it, and they're kind of secondary, and they
mm-hmm,
might have
mm-hmm.
like a bigger play in the overall plot overall. But for now, he's just kind of there, while we get to know the rest of the folks that we already know. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's how kind of Jubilee was introduced. She was more just like a character whose powers we didn't really know about, we weren't really, familiar with. And then we already knew, who, Wolverine and, Cyclops and Jean Grey were. So I feel like he's kind of like that this season's or this series' new introductory character, you know what I mean? But I do
So
think he's like pivotal, you know what I'm saying?
here's my theory then, or I guess my prediction for what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
If we're getting Roberto now and he's playing like the introductory role, then we're going to get the new mutants. Like Roberto was like the new mutant. It was like him, Cannonball, Colossus's sister. I think her name is
Yeah.
Ileana, or nickname, mutant name is Magic. Like some of like the core folks that are like prominent in like any type of X-Men or mutant series. Like you'll see one of them or all of them, but they're a part of the New Mutants team. And if we're getting Roberto Discostas in like getting played heavy and he's getting
Mm,
cool with the other young person on the team, my assumption is there's about to be a new X-Men team. Either it's going to happen this season or maybe they're thinking about like season 2 or a
mm.
spin-off series. I don't know. Clearly this is doing great. It's doing so well. Pop Cult Parent is doing a weekly reaction series on this show. So it's clearly doing well.
Yeah.
They might be doing a New Mutants. Do you know much about the New Mutants? I'm curious on what you know about them, if anything.
Not too much, not too much. Like maybe like what was there a movie with the New Mutants?
There was a movie. I did not
That
watch
horror
that
movie?
movie. Yeah,
I watched it.
it was like a horror
I
movie.
watched
What did
it
you think?
and it was like a cliche kind of horror movie that hinted that it had like X-Men feel in it. You know what I mean? It alluded to the fact that they were mutants. It
See,
didn't
brother,
really focus on that. You know what I mean?
I feel like what you're describing would be a good movie. Like I would be here
Yeah.
for a horror movie where
I
they
mean,
are terrorizing teenagers with superpowers. That I'm the target audience for that.
well, then you'd enjoy this movie.
You think
I mean,
so?
I think you'd enjoy it, but I mean, in terms of like overall plot or it being like pivotal, because you're thinking, you're getting Marvel and we're talking about mutants finally. You think all that stuff, you're not gonna get that. You know what I mean? But you will get an interesting kind of horror story. And the mutants in there, they are in the comics, so it's dope like that. But as far as overall plot, it's it's a cash grab if in my opinion, it's a cash grab.
Okay, real quick, I got a question, and we can keep moving.
Yeah,
Is it better than Venom? Did you watch Venom?
I did.
Or would you put it on your Venom scale for cash grab? Like cash grab, but actually good, or cash grab and like not good, not even decent. Like on your, is it above Venom or below Venom?
It's above Venom. I'll say that.
Oh, okay, I'll
I'll
watch
say
it.
that. Not
Okay.
by not by a lot, but it is above Venom. Yeah, Venom was wow, what a disappointment. It's above Venom. It's above Venom for
Okay,
sure.
I'll watch it. I'll watch it. Venom is my line. If it's
Yeah,
better than Venom, I'll give it a chance. If it's worse than Venom, I'm good. I'm good.
yeah. You'll
So
you'll get some entertainment out of this joint for sure.
okay, I'll report back. I'll let you know how it is because I'm a fan of the New Mutants,
Yeah,
and I was not a fan of the trailers, and I was not a fan of the reviews that I see for the
yeah.
movie. So I was kind of like, I'm good, but
Don't
I'll
expect
give it a try.
cinematic glory and cinematic excellence. It's still not that good. It's there's Venom and then there's that. It's not like up there.
It's
You know what I'm
close.
saying?
It's close on the level of Venom,
Yeah,
is what you're telling me. It's like,
yeah. Like I'm telling you, it's better, but that ain't the bar ain't that like in the
damn.
water. You know what I mean? So
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
I got one more question for you. Are there like good action moments? Like, do they do some characters right from your
Yeah,
knowledge?
yeah. Yes.
You're like,
Yes.
okay, that's what's up. I don't know much about this mutant, but they did whatever
Yeah.
they did him right or her right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Cool. Cool. All right. Thank you. Now we'll get back
Yeah.
to the episode.
Yeah.
So there, I don't have much else from this half of the show. I'm curious, do you
Mhm.
have any other thoughts or takeaways about the 16-bit video game
I mean, I was
experience?
the every sequence, every loading part, every, little call to the video game, like that was awesome. I loved that video game. I was really appreciating the nostalgia in there. But again, I was also appreciating the fact that they leveled up Jubilee finally. And I was waiting for that because I'm just tired of seeing her hand spark and her not do anything else. So to see her kind of, manipulate her powers like that and then do that kind of supernova thing. That was dope. I was
That was
really a
fire.
fan of
That
that.
was
Yeah.
fire.
It was like anime and she dropped her sunglasses. She's like, yeah,
Yup.
that was dope.
And and when she took out Magneto, granted it was video game Magneto, but it really
Mhm.
showed me. I'm like, oh, you've been training. You've been training.
Yeah.
Like you were shook. You were kind of like, oh, I can handle this. Like I
Hmm.
gotta like just figure out his cadence and take him down. Cause your boy, if I had to go one on one against Magneto and my powers are fire rockets out of my hand, I'm scared. Like I don't believe I'm going to win the situation. But she came at it with no fear and she took him down. So
That's
I
real.
gotta I
And
gotta give her that.
part of me thought that this was like a test at first because they were like, "Hey, we got a few surprises for you for your birthday," and I'm like, "Is this a test to see if she can actually handle being on the full time team?" Like I thought
Hmm.
it was all part of it, but to see that she was kind of kidnapped by a video game, I was like, "Okay, that makes sense too." But I thought they were like, "Oh, let's see if you can actually take on Magneto since he doesn't think you're ready and doesn't really want to spend free time doing anything else but training or work." You know what I mean?
I would love to see Magneto at an arcade. I want the alternate universe version of this episode where the mutants are back in the mall and Magneto looking the way he does now with all
I
his
was about to.
luxuriousness is at a freaking arcade, like trying to use himself on Capcom versus Marvel, trying to beat Ryu with his power. Like that's what I want.
I
So
was wondering if you were going to have him dressed down or not, because we haven't seen him dressed down this entire season.
no, luxurious, arms out, hair down, Magneto with the giant M on his chest in the
Like we all
arcade
forget.
with the cape, all of it, all in his splendor. Playing time copper, time out. You remember that thing where you step down and you
Yeah,
that's
and
what I
shoot,
want to see
yeah,
him.
that's hilarious.
All right, so there's another half of this episode. It was called like Life Death Part 1. At least from what I gathered, the second half of the episode, which it looks like it's going to be a series. My assumption is it's going to be the journey that Storm takes to get her powers back or to join back with the team. Here we see that like Storm and Forge, like they met in Dallas and now they're back in whatever ranch Forge lives in. And Forge is actively working on getting Storm's powers back. It shows a couple of things, and I wish some of the experts were on because like I wanted to like dive deep into this. But in Forge's home, you see pictures of like another mutant team, and he talks about how he was working on like some aspects of like a power dampener, but he gave it to somebody in Scotland
Mhm,
and didn't like finalize it. And whoever that person in Scotland was like the one who like finalized the the mutant dampener. Gavin,
mhm,
there is one person in Scotland that we know in the world of X-Men, and that is Myra McTaggart.
mhm.
Myra McTaggart, who like if you watch the movies, this is like Professor X's homegirl. If you read the comic books, this is like she's in Muir Island. She's with Banshee. She's always like randomly working on mutants who have problems. She's where they sent Jean when she got the Phoenix Force in her. Like Myra is like the mutant doctor. She's known for that. And so what this is saying is that Forge created the concept of the power dampener and Myra finalized it and gave it to the government.
Mhm.
I don't know if that was in the comic books. I'm not aware of that at all. I don't remember seeing that in the original series, but that's a big deal because she's
And
supposed to be like, I got mutants back. Her and Charles don't see eye to eye on everything, but they got a understanding. And she created like one of the key weapons against the
yeah,
mutants. That's not great. That's not great.
yeah, I caught that, and I was like, yeah, was I had the same question. I was like, is that intentional? Are we supposed to think that that was her? Because he did give it. He said the government got their hands on it after this scientist in Scotland, took his notes and just went with it. So I'm like, wait, the government specifically? Like, so I mean, I get why Storm was upset. He's like, you just can't just do that and just leave your inventions out there like that. You know what the government's like. That I completely understand that, but I'm like,
Mhm.
it sounded like he gave his notes to somebody, who he thought wasn't going to do anything like that with it. So, yeah, is that, or, the part two, I hope we get to, learn like how that whole thing, transpired, or maybe that's, the plot of the season two, because, we still don't know how they got that weapon, into, the UN when they were having that whole announcement and everything. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe it's a bigger plot. You know what I'm saying?
Well, part of it is like the what's it called? Friends of Humanity,
Yeah.
which is just like a group. Like part of them, they have connections with folks who are anti-mutants. So they're just getting a bunch of technology anyway. And like it could be like straight up military grade anti-mutant tech that they're just receiving. But I think what we're supposed to take away, we're supposed to know that Myra McTaggart is involved in this in some way, shape, or
Hmm.
form. And that is just curious. She is just a curious person in every iteration of X-Men. I have some predictions. I know we can still talk about like those 8 minutes of Storm and Forge, but I have some predictions. Gavin, Myra McTaggart has a son. and her son is one of the most powerful, dangerous mutants they've ever like had in the Marvel world. I don't really remember much about him, but I remember like he's like he reminds me of like Parasite from like the Superman cartoons, like can like
Hmm.
take your powers and like kind of like just like dampen your powers, kind of like Rogue, but like on a
Yeah.
psychic level. And he's a
Hmm.
big deal. Like I think his name is M. I'm trying to remember what his name was, but like I think if Myra's gonna be involved and there's like some opposition, I would love to see them introduce her son because her son is a problem. Like he is a big deal problem.
Wait. You said psychic powers? Is
I'm
that
pretty sure
is
it's
that
psychic
Charles?
related. Oh
Charles in
yeah,
it?
great question. Great question.
Wait, how was
It's
Charles?
not Charles.
Okay,
It's not
because I had a
Charles.
few follow-up questions, but okay, you know where I was going.
I
Okay,
know exactly where you're going. Because low key, when I found out she had a son, I was like, okay, so that's Charles' kid. But
yeah.
no, it's not.
Okay,
But funny enough,
okay.
Charles does have a son. His name is Legion. And Legion is
Hmm.
probably a more powerful psychic than Charles is. So yeah.
I
But
did watch
anyways,
that show.
you watch Legion? Legion's a good
I
show.
did.
Legion's a good
That's a
show.
great show.
All
Yes.
right, I'm gonna look up Myra's son's name because I'm gonna try to find it. But you talk your piece about the Storm and Forge episode.
So words can make everything but love. It's clear. That's what I was like. This poor man, like, like everybody can see he was feeling Storm, and he can make whatever he wants and think 10 times as fast, but he ain't making anything with Storm. That man got shut down bad. Oof.
Gavin,
Like,
he spent like 3 days with her and
yep,
was like, "You're a goddess, even without your powers." Grabs her head and looks her in the eyes and is like, "I love you." And Storm, being the baddie that she is, treats it like it's Tuesday and slaps
yep,
Buddy in his face
yep.
and keeps it moving. She
Mm-hmm.
is so used to being proposed to and for men saying that they love her
Yep.
that this guy who has actively gave up everything to try to save her powers looks her in the eyes and is like, I love you. And she's like, it is what it is.
Yeah, I
This is
came
just
here for my
standard business
powers.
in the life of Storm.
Yeah, like I came here for powers, not love. What's up? Like, come on, your machine don't work. Get off me. Like, that's basically what it was. Like, she was not feeling that. She was having fun on the horses and everything. Like, this little man thinks he's rude. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was
She was
but she wasn't
appreciating the
like,
local cuisine.
yeah,
Like she was cool with like the touristy stuff. The second you try
yeah,
to cop feelings, she's like, "Come on, bro.
love. Come on, come on. Where are my powers?
Where
Like,
are my
that,
powers? I
where are
got
my
things to
powers?
do."
You said this was gonna work. I need to go home. Come on. Like, nah, that part was wild. That was
Yo,
some
Storm
real.
standards are so high. She's like, "Yo, you're not the ruler of a superpower kingdom. You're not worth billions of dollars. Your mutant powers is like, oh, you can create stuff. You don't just have a mass amount of amazing futuristic technology at
Yeah,
your beck and call. That's my
yeah,
standard. That's the
yeah,
kind of men that are trying to holler at me. So you tinkering in your basement and you still we've been here for a week. You ain't still figuring out what's going on with me. Not meeting the cup, brother.
yeah. They go holler at T'Challa. T'Challa knows what he's talking about. Like, yeah, like for real.
Wakanda
Like you
would
can
have
trade off,
her buzzing in a week. Come on, not
right?
even a week, 3 days. She'd be fine, great bill of health, and the world would know she was an Omega level mutant. She would come back better in her time in Wakanda, but
But
poor
I
Ford.
think she trusted him off the strength of Charles, which everybody would. Like, hey, I'm a friend of Charles, and he got the pictures with Charles and everything. I think that is why she was more willing, of course. But like she was on business, and Forge was trying to play around. Like, I thought you knew. Like, this chili had my heart. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, nah, that. But I did like the fact that they were whatever this nemesis is, like that big bird thing that popped up at the
Yeah,
end. like I've never seen or heard of that before. Is that it? Maybe that's a part of
I
her
I
awakening. I
have
don't know.
no idea what that was. I thought it was like a psychic attack,
Yeah.
and because like the way that the thing came from the house. So there's a like a storm bad guy. He's like, it was actually in the Legion show. It was like the
Hmm.
guy that was going against Legion. I think
Ah.
he's the Goblin King. Like Madeline Pryor is the Goblin Queen. I believe his name is the Goblin King or like the Dream King or something like that. Big
Hmm.
bad guy, psychic, mess with Storm in Egypt. Charles like came, saved Storm, and like imprisoned him in the astral plane, and that was like a big deal. But like the show plays it out because the reason that Storm is afraid of like it's claustrophobic is because of him. So he has a presence in the show, but the way that he was shown in the show compared to the way that we just saw, like whoever this giant bat looking thing was, it's not one
Yeah.
in the same, bruh. I don't know
Okay.
what that was. I ain't never seen it before. I ain't never heard of it before. I couldn't tell you a thing about it.
Gotcha. Okay. Because I thought I was really lost. I was like, who or what is that? Like, and is this in her head or what? Like, yeah. Okay. Glad we're on the same page. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I'm glad there's a part two because I'm kind of like, come on, bring Storm back. Like, and I need to see more of her leadership in,
Mhm.
opposition to Scott, especially given, how like kind of rocked he is about everything. And I feel like there's a hole in the team with, just Magneto being there. Like I feel like they were gonna have a really interesting dynamic and like, you know what I mean? And now that she's not there, there's just this kind of like vacancy for Magneto to, probably do what Charles wants, but still make it what it is and possibly take it in a different direction. You know what I mean? Because you don't have that staunch leadership in Beast or Wolverine, Gambit or Rogue, or Jubilee that's still there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like she's needed. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. And it makes me wonder, like, what we for like 4 episodes, we haven't seen a common theme of what this season is going to be about. And maybe it doesn't have to be about a particular thing. Like the previous animated series, each show was or each episode was like something in itself. And so they could be trying to do it with it. But like I get a feeling that they are trying to tell a story, like a linear story or some remnants of it. My assumption is like we're going to spend some time with Storm. Like we're going to spend a
Hmm.
good amount of time with Storm, and you know what? She deserves it. Number one, but I think that's going to be part of the journey. And Gavin, I am with you. I want to see her go up against Cyclops for leadership of the X-Men, and for her to
Yeah.
just like flex her leadership muscles and like be like, Magneto, you may be in charge of all of this, but the X-Men are
Hmm.
mine. I got
Yeah.
this. Like, tell me what the mission is, and we gonna go figure it out. But like, I got this part of this whole shebang. So
Yeah.
we'll see, though,
I think
brother.
I think the linear story is whatever Mr. Sinister is up to still though. He's still alluded to in the opening, and I feel like his interference with their child and everything. I feel like we're gonna see more of him, and he's gonna be the big bad that carries whatever story is happening here.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? They showed pictures of Forge and another mutant team. I don't know if they're X Force, X Factor, X whatever. There's another mutant team out there with like some interesting looking mutants.
Mhm.
Do they play a part in some of this? Who knows?
They
We
did
might
have an
see.
X. I was
They
curious
did.
about that too. I saw the X, and I was like, I was gonna ask you if you knew that team because I was like, that's a new one, but.
Some of them look familiar, like Polaris. So the mutant with the green hair. I'm
Yeah.
almost certain. I could be wrong. I'm almost certain that's another Magneto, another of Magneto's kids. So
Hmm.
Magneto has, besides Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, is Polaris, and Polaris has the same powers as Magneto, like something of the sorts. But she has green hair. She's known for her green hair. And so I saw somebody with green hair, and it made me think like she might be it because I believe she was one of like the first X-Men.
Hmm.
So I kind of thought that it might be her, but some of those people look familiar. Like that big swole guy with the neck and the glasses
Yeah.
and no hair. He looked real familiar. So I'm
Mhm.
almost certain I've seen him before. There was a guy with like an avalanche. You know what? I know exactly who the team is. I needed to say it out loud. Alpha Flight. That's Alpha Flight.
Mm.
You don't know who Alpha Flight is? Alpha Flight is the mutant superhero Canadian team. It's Wolverine's
Word.
former team.
Oh, I
Alpha
don't think I
Flight.
knew that.
I'm pretty sure it's Alpha Flight. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's Alpha Flight. Doesn't make any sense because Forge isn't Canadian, and I don't
Hmm.
ever see them wearing X. So now that I'm
Hmm.
saying it, I think I'm wrong. But I'm gonna stand on business. It's Alpha Flight.
Hey,
Until
I'm gonna
Mike
have to look
Stevens
that one
hears
up.
this and then text me, it's like, you are wrong. How dare you? You know nothing about X-Men. Until that happens, I'm standing on what I said. It's Alpha Flight.
I'm gonna have to Google that one.
Yeah, man. Well, Gab, anything else about the show?
No, I mean, I'm loving the fact that we're getting more adult versions of our old stuff. Like I said before, like I love that they're leveling up and they're not just hinting at love. Like I said, they're just in your face with it. Like it's pretty dope. And I really appreciate the fact that Jubilee leveled up. That's that. I mean, I get it's a part two for, coming for life after death for Storm.
Mhm.
However, watching Jubilee level up was one of my favorite parts of that whole joint.
Agreed, agreed. And we are still on Magneto Rogue Gambit watch. We are like entrapped in the closet episode 3. Like this is getting real, brother. So looking forward to continuing that journey with you.
Was this the episode where he asked about the coffee too? Was
Yes.
that the beginning of
He's
the
like, well,
episode?
I want a cappuccino. And he's like, you can get up and get
Yeah,
your own damn cappuccino.
yeah.
Like,
I'm like, oh man, like nobody else is noticing this. Yeah,
Gavin, everybody's noticing it. And what you gonna say? What you gonna say? I ain't saying anything. Wolverine
yeah.
ain't saying nothing, and Wolverine has
Wolverine ain't
no
saying
problem
nothing.
saying something.
Yeah,
Wolverine's just
Beast is acting like it's a normal day. Like Morph is all in
Morph is
your face,
laughing to
kind of about
himself.
it. Yeah, laughing and pointing it out. Yeah, it's just I feel bad for him, man. Because I feel, are we all rooting for Rogue and Gambit? Like this whole Magneto step swoop in kind of thing is not. I need to see Rogue and Gambit. Come on, like that. That stinks. Word.
Hey man,
Wow.
she has been wanting to touch somebody for years, all right? And Magneto came back with a makeover for her. All right. He didn't need to have the locks in. You know what I'm saying? He could have
Yeah.
had tatted up hair and he didn't need to show the shoulders. He came with a purpose, and I just want him to get his just dues. That's all. That's all. And Rogue is just right there, and he can give her what she wants. I want everybody to win. Gambit can, come on now. Gambit is a scoundrel, but Gambit got game. He can go out there and do his thing. I see a future with Magneto and Rogue, and I see possibility.
That's fair. That's fair. I don't know. I mean, it's like they just hinted at that love story for, like 4 seasons, and then they're gonna come in and be like, actually,
Psych.
here you go. Yeah.
According to the comic books. But
Yeah.
actually they get married
Dang.
in the comic book, so we'll see. We'll see.
Gotcha.
All right. Well, Gav, thank you. We appreciate you. Thank you for coming
Appreciate y'all.
and
Appreciate
sharing.
you, man.
You're a stellar, brother. We appreciate you. And thank you, Pop Cult. Thank you for listening. We have a new episode every month. You can find us on all social media at Pop Cult Parent, POPCULTPARENT. Visit us at www.popcultparent.com. Become a member of the Pop Cult at our Patreon, patreon.com/popcultparent, where you can see all our full video episodes. Email us at popcultparent@gmail.com. Don't forget to rate us, review, and subscribe. And as always, join the cult. Peace. Oh, yeah, and the hat is fly, Gavin. Peace.